at Hen Chicks Studio, and I am in our retreat center, which we lovingly call the nest, because of course what would be more appropriate with Hen Chicks Studio is to have the nest. So what you see behind me are the sleeping quarters. It is an open dormitory style sleeping. We do have a variety of painted doors that help break up the space and make it a little bit, I'll say, have a little bit of privacy. There's no assigned beds. There are 14 twin beds, so if 4 people come, they can take all 4 corners and actually be quite a ways away from each other. It's kind of amazing how much space there is up here in the retreat center. So welcome this morning. We're so glad to have you here. Again, I'm Heidi Kaisand. This is Hen Chicks Studio, and we are located in Conrad, Iowa. We love having all of our friends jump on and tell us where you're watching from. If you're new, tell us you're new. Tell us this is the first time you've been watching, and welcome. We're glad that you are here. This morning I've got just kind of a little bit of a different angle, and if you hang out with us very often, you'll know that nothing is, I'll say, repeatable here. We do things differently all the time. But I thought taking the opportunity to be up in the retreat center would be a little different, because it also gave me the opportunity to do some pressing. So I think of Memorial Day as the official kickoff to summer. I know officially summer doesn't start until what, June 21st, 22nd, whatever that is. But I think everybody thinks of Memorial Day weekend as the beginning of summer and Labor Day weekend as the end of summer. And of course, around here, schools are letting out, so that also makes it more summer-like. The temperatures are rising. So of course, that makes it more summer-like immediately. And with the start of the All Iowa Shop Hop and Row by Row tomorrow, June 1st, summer feels so official. And so for the next 2 months, we have the All Iowa Shop Hop. For the next 3 months, we have Row by Row. We've been talking about those in different videos. I'll definitely talk more about them in the future. So if you're not familiar with those, certainly we'll give you more information. And good morning, goodness, I see friends from Texas and Nevada and Arkansas and Missouri and Marshalltown. Good morning to all of you. We're so glad that you are with us this morning. And so again, it's summer, right? It's beginning, it's the beginning of summer. And every day is a balancing act, right? Because we always have activities going on, but for some reason, summer even seems crazier, at least here in my world. I don't know why. You've got vacations. It tends to be when people go on vacation or trips. We've got gardening, did plenty of that over Memorial Day weekend. Ball games, if you're involved in the sports of it. We're still playing volleyball, so we still have volleyball. But all of those things feel like they are pulling for my time, and yet I still need to quilt for my mental health. And I just have got to keep sewing, right? So I like to think of maybe some summertime projects as being ones that are not quite so overwhelming. And last night I took home a 3-yard bundle. This is the Jason Yenter 3-yard bundle with the purple. And it actually has 4 yards. I'm sorry, it's a 4-yard bundle. It's based on the 3-yard quilts, but this is a 4-yard bundle, and we have them in both purple and in turquoise, and I'm going to tell you a little bit more about those. But we love the 3-yard books, and so I had taken the pattern called 9+1 out of the book here for the kids. This one is 3-yard quilt kits for kids. And I'm going to see if I can find that book. And if we can't, there we go. This is the book that I pulled out of. So how a 3-yard quilt book works, let's talk just a second about that, is that all of the quilts are based on 3 1-yard cuts. Now, with 3 1-yard cuts, you're going to turn out a quilt that's roughly 45 by 55, give or take an inch or two in either way, right? And there's so many designs. Each book, she shows all of the motifs on the back, and I'll show you a couple more here, but there's, this is a Christmas one. We've gone through that before, and there's all these patterns. And so you literally could pick any 3 1-yard cuts from your stash, a bundle that we've created, and you could make this quilt top plus the binding. Now, the binding in her books isn't my favorite, I'll be honest. It's a little too narrow for my taste. So I do often suggest an extra half yard to get a binding of your choice in a 2.5-inch cut. So if you typically cut your binding at 2.5 inches, I would absolutely recommend that you throw in an extra half yard to make sure, or even a 1/4 yard, somewhere between a 1/4 and a half yard would get you everything that you need to do this, okay? And she has so many books. There's Make It Christmas. I'm gonna just put a couple up. Modern Views, Pretty Darn Quick, Easy Peasy, Quick and Easy, 3-yard quilts on the double, Quick as a Wink, Quilts in a Jiffy, Fast and Fun. I think I have most of them there. Oh, did I say the magic of 3 yards? And you know, again, the concept behind the books, they're all $15.99, great price, and you get a simple project. You can easily double the size or triple the size with her instructions. She's, you know, gives good instructions on that, but it does work out well to be able to do that as well. Okay, so last night I picked out this book, actually the girls picked it out, and the project 9+1, and I took home the Jason Yenter 4-yard cut bundle. Because, and why did we put four yards together in this one? Well, it's because there is actually a border stripe in the bottom here. That's the 4th yard. So you could say, you know what, I like the 3-yard cuts, I don't like the border. You don't want to do that, fine, you still got the 3 1-yard cuts. But what I wanted to do was to fussy cut those borders into blocks. So in this particular quilt, they're 8-inch blocks, and so I fussy cut those borders into blocks. Now, you have to do a little bit of math. Always fun, right? A little bit of math, because a 1-yard cut of a border stripe, because there's 4 borders and I'm cutting 4 across, I technically could only get 16 squares out of that 1 yard, and it calls for 17. Okay, but guess what? I got extra fabric, right? So I decided to go with 12 of this particular block, and so every one of them is slightly different because of the way it falls on the border. Maybe they're pretty similar, I don't know, I guess that one's a little bit different. And then I chose the purple to be my other block, all right? And the other alternating block is a 9-patch. So I, again, took a little design capability here, and I decided that when I look at the 9-patch, I wanted the purple to be the center, the black to be the 4 corners. So instead of doing 5 black squares and 4 white, I wanted 4 out of the black, the center out of the purple, and then the white as the 4 pieces. So that did that. So just to tell you a little bit about my philosophy of making quilts is I don't have days on end, unless I'm retreating at Hen Chicks Studio, to devote, right? So I've got to think about it in bits and pieces. So last night, I felt like I had enough time to cut. So I pulled out my stripology ruler and I cut the squares and the strips, Okay, that was all I could get done last night. This morning, I was thinking about this, and to tell you that how quickly things can come together, I all of a sudden had that thought of, you know what? I have an extra 30 minutes. I bet I could sit down and sew the strips and show you. So literally at 7 o'clock this morning, I sat down at my sewing machine, and yes, my sewing machine was already out, threaded, ready to go, and I started sewing my strips together, and I chain pieced all of these strips in 30 minutes. Now, I could have stopped in between the sewing the first 2 strips together and gone and pressed, but I decided this morning that I would do the pressing here so that we could talk a little bit about that. And Jan, I'm loving it that you're making a 3-yard quilt today. Stepping Stones from the Pretty Darn Quick book. Oh yes, and adding a wider border. You know, that's the thing is you if there's something about the size that you need it to be bigger, adding a border to many of these would work well, adding additional blocks. Okay, so I'm cutting apart my chain, if you wonder what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm getting my strip sets all cut apart. So I had to, again, double check my math, and I did, did I get that? So I did three strip sets that are black, white, black, and 2 strip sets, I believe, that are white, purple, white. Okay, and that would make sense, right? Because I have to do twice as many of the black and white versus the purple and white. Okay, so, all right, now I got all this stuff sitting here. I gotta get it out of the way. I'm working on top of my work surface, right? Okay, and I'm gonna lay it over here. So again, one of the things we don't get to talk about a lot downstairs because we don't have the, let's say the right ironing surfaces, is talk a little bit about the ironing surface itself. So I like a raised surface. So this is a regular plastic table, and we've put it up on the risers that are like 6 inches. So it's raised up 6 inches. Then I have covered it with Teflon fabric, which we sell in the store, and batting. And then to protect the plastic from melting, in the 12 years that we've had the retreat center, we've tried a variety of things. My dad is awesome for trying out different things. And because over time, again, all that heat and all that moisture warps different things. And so we, I wish I could tell you, it was some kind of pressed board. This time he's actually tried, it's more of, darn it, I'm not gonna say, it's still some kind of a pressed material, a little more expensive, but it's heavier in weight, so there's a layer between my batting and the Teflon and then the plastic table, if that makes sense, okay? And if you really wanna know what that material is, I'll call my dad later and we'll get that on, because I doubt they will add a comment in here even if my mom is watching. Okay, then we love the wool pressing mats. So I ordered for the retreat center the extra long one because I thought it would be fun to be able to try out, and I love it. In this, look at this. I can get my strip set all the way on here. I'm not trying to go off. So that ironing board does not have the wool. This one does. Why do you want wool? You want wool because it basically is sandwiching your fabric in heat, right? As I use my iron and add steam, I've got heat coming from the top, then this wool keeps and retains that heat. So now it's pressing from the bottom as well. So it's a nice sandwich of heat, okay? And I will tell you, do not use a wool mat on top of your cutting mat. It'll warp. Do not use a wool mat on top of a hardwood surface. It'll change your wood surface. I mean, there's lots of things that you do have to watch because it does get hot and it retains that moisture, okay? And I did not bring any of the links to the wool mats that we sell. I don't currently have this big one on the website, But if it is something you want, I can special order it for you. And the way we do special orders is that you would pay for it up front, and then we would let you know when it comes. And usually I can get those kinds of things within 1 to 2 weeks, depending on when the order is placed. Okay, so I have my iron. Okay, this is an iron. I'm going to just give you my little lesson. We iron men's shirts. We press quilts. Okay? So if we're ironing a man's shirt, we probably are doing this kind of motion all over, right? And when we're pressing a piece of fabric, I'm going to say that first time, maybe we need to get some wrinkles out. Certainly we can iron at that point. But once you start really working with your fabric, you want to press rather than to iron, because you do not want to distort the fabric or change, like pull the bias or anything like that. And so, well, and I see Jan is loving our wool surface. And Jan, come over and retreat with us. The retreaters get to use this. It'd be awesome. Okay, so a couple of things about pressing. In this particular case, I like to have my fabric that I want the seam to go towards on top. So I want to press the seams towards the black, or I want to press them towards the purple in the other strip set. So as I lay this down on the surface, I've got my black piece up that I'm going to press, okay? And then with my iron, and I do not have an expensive iron up here, and I make sure that I've got water in here and steam. I love steam. I go through and I like to, let's see if it'll steam for me. This is always, and I literally, I'm not dragging it. I'm just barely going over the surface and making sure that, ooh, that's hot. That's hot. I can hear the steam. I can see the steam. We're gonna get a little sauna, little what do we call a little facial as we're doing this, especially on a warm day, extra warm. Okay, so what I did just there is I referred to that as setting the seam. So I've set the seam. Okay, then I take the tip of my iron and I press that open. Can you hear the steam? I don't know if you can hear the steam over the air conditioner, but I'm using the tip of my iron and I'm gently pressing that open. I'm not doing any big strokes, anything like that. And what I'm trying to do is make sure that that seam is pressed open. I'm actually walking my hand in front, pulling those pieces open. Every once in a while, I'll do a harder press. Okay. And go back down through. Okay, so then I'm going to now turn this over, because now I want to do the other seam, the other black seam. So I'm again going to press it, and it's got a little bit of a crease in it because I was, it's narrow. If I had done them one at a time when I was sewing, I wouldn't have that. But now I'm going to, with the tip of my iron, I'm pressing that open. And I'm concentrating. Don't want to burn my fingers, right? Okay. So now I'll go back and make sure that that I see it so that it's pressed very nicely. You don't want any lips or edges when you are getting those pressed. And on the back side, it's going to look like it's pressed away from the white. And did it go okay? Yep, looks like it went okay. So I'm going to grab, so that's my outside of my 9 patch. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do this one as well, so I can do it again. And I see Minerva's busy quilting as well. We love hearing what all of you are making. And so I'm setting the seam, and so this time the seam is going towards the purple, so it's going towards the inside. So I have a little more to pull up. Why do you think I'm doing this? Why do you think I'm pressing purposely in certain directions? Anybody have any guesses? Want to add it in the comments? Go ahead while I'm pressing, and then I'll answer that. So I'm gonna get that, and I'm gonna turn it around. Oh, and Carolyn, thank you for telling me I look nice and cool. I am trying to stay nice and cool, and of course, it's always cool up here in the retreat center. So that is fun. We can crank the air conditioning down. Okay, and I'm gonna press this open. Apparently I can't talk and press at the same time. Talk amongst yourselves. Okay, here we go. We gotta get one more time, make sure that I've got that going towards the purple. Okay, let's see if I did okay. Oh, I'm not quite so good on the back, we'll show you. So there's my front, and right down here, I got a little something, a little off. So I'm gonna go back on this side, and I'm gonna just touch that up. But I can control the pressing so much more from the front than the back. So remember that. Okay, so why am I pressing the way that I'm pressing, right? And because we are going to nest the seams. Woohoo! I love it. I love it. There's so many answers that are correct. I love it. And Audrey is asking, can you cut binding strips length of fabric that rather than WOF with the fabric? Absolutely, you can cut them. They're gonna just not pull as much. So, but if you're binding a straight quilt, you won't have any problem. Absolutely. Sometimes you can get longer strips depending on your fabric yardage. Okay, so I am going to nest my seams. That's exactly what I'm doing. And so basically my 9 patch, my 9 patch is gonna look like this. And I want that purple and black. I'm trying to get them lined up here with my fingers so that I can get up here to the camera. I want them to nest perfectly so that when they come together, that they will match up. And the seams will be going one towards the black, one towards the purple, therefore less bulk. And that you want that less bulk, okay? And so, now, what did it take me? I mean, I've been jabbering, right? So 20 minutes, we've been on here for 20 minutes, and I've been jabbering about this. So, half hour last night, 30 minutes this morning. Now, I haven't had to finish pressing, but I bet in 30 minutes I could have had these pressed. I wonder what I can do tonight in 30 minutes. Maybe I'll have to come back on to a live tomorrow and see what I have accomplished. But that is the project that I'm working on. That way I feel like I still get some sewing done. And again, it's just necessary for me to have that little bit of a creative outlet. We do offer quite a few different 3-yard bundles, and in no particular order, I'm gonna show you a couple. This one on, we got Peace, Love, and Barbecue, and let's see, and then also Farm Babies. Look at these 2 cute ones. So also could use the 3-yard bundle for a apron. Baby quilt, wouldn't that be adorable? Okay, and I'm gonna just show you a couple more here, and then I'm gonna click through these. So we've got that Hey Boo, I can't hold apparently at the same time. That's Hey Boo is the Halloween one, and Ruby Star is the black and white. But there are so many different versions of 3-yard bundles, and of course you can always make your own by simply picking out 3 1-yard cuts of what you like the most. So there are just a few examples of the 3-yard bundles that we have here at Hen Chicks Studio. So are there any questions about the retreat center? I have one more thing I want to tell you about. But Oh, and Carolyn is asking, do I ever press my seams open? Rarely. First of all, it's a lot of work. And let's be honest. And second of all, there's also issues like if they're open, then there's nothing supporting that seam behind it. So literally you could pull it and see right through the top. Again, some techniques do need that, but it's pretty rare. I'd say pretty rare that I open up any seams. So that's the way it is, right? Okay, so the retreat center is, again, we call it the nest. You can go on our website and find out anything you want to about the retreat center. We have mostly private retreats and then a few public retreats. So next week we do happen to have a public retreat called Rule the Roost. And Leslie, our newest staff member, is going to be ruling the roost. And I know you'll all have fun getting to know her. So she's the staff member, so she'll rule the roost and be up here all 3 days. And she's so creative. She does cookie decorating, and wait till you see the seam rippers she's made. I'll have those out for sale hopefully this week. But anyway, so we've got public retreats, we've got private retreats, all sorts of things. The retreat center is available for one person. I have no minimum number, and so that is something that is important. And so I thought I would turn the camera around because I also just want to start telling you about what's going to be happening in the very near future at Hen Chicks Studio. So let me go behind the camera for a second. Oh, and Bobby, I do have examples of 3-yard quilts completed, but they're all downstairs in the store. I did not bring up any of those. So the next time we get on air, well, wait a minute, hold on a minute. There is one up here, maybe. We'll see when we turn the camera. Okay, so so you are looking at the bed area. Again, the sleeping is what I refer to as dormitory style sleeping. And hang on with me as I loosen the right parts of my camera. And there's no way for me, the way I'm wedged in here, you're gonna end up seeing me at some point here too. But so we have cutting tables. Of course, we provide the irons and all of that. You can see all my 3-yard bundles sitting there, and there's lots of work tables. Okay, so bear with me. And lots of work tables, and as you go that direction, you'll see there's those 2 doors right there are 2 of the 3 bathrooms that are available to the retreaters. The kitchen is in this alleyway down here, which the lights aren't on, and then there's more workspace. And I just wanted to tell you just a little bit about what is happening up here at the moment. 5 years ago, we came to the conclusion that it was important for us to move our store samples on to somebody else, okay? And I'm gonna come up this way. I'm afraid the air conditioner, I don't know if I wanna make sure you can hear me. So all of the quilts that you see in these stacks are all quilts that have been store samples for the majority of them. There's a couple antique quilts that I have thrown in, that kind of thing. But all of these quilts are former store samples. So they are finished, quilted, bound, and ready to use. And there's even another stack over there. I'm gonna just move just a little bit so I can maybe get in here. And what do we do with all these, right? Because I can't keep all these. I have quilts that we make. I have my grandmother's quilts. I have the girls' quilts. I have my quilts. And I felt 5 years ago that there was a need to figure out how these quilts could help somebody else. So we started selling the store samples. And we only sell them during the month of July. It is a first come, first served basis. It is 100% of the quilt price is going to the cause that we choose, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. So let's just say the quilt is $100. You will have to pay $100 plus sales tax, and $100 will go to the cause. The sales tax goes to the state, right? I can't do anything about that. And so the first year we raised about $4,000. The second year, and that first year we gave half of it to ALS and half of it to BCLUW schools. The second year we raised, I think, $7,000. I got to stop and think about this now. $7,000, and we gave that money to a small boy, a little boy that was battling leukemia. He continues to do well. The third year we raised somewhere in the $7,000 to $8,000 mark. Can't remember exactly. Anyway, and we gave it to a teacher here in town who has a specific disease that she's battling, and part of it to the American Cancer Society, research for her. And then last year, Peyton Pekarik, who has battling her own cancer, we were able to donate $12,000. So each year you can tell we gain more and more attention about this, which is awesome. I'm going to tell you about this year in just a second. But the potential, I think this year is going to be close to, if we sold every quilt, it would be, I think, well over 30,000. I haven't done the final calculation. But the nice thing is that say you, maybe you can't buy one, that's fine. Tell somebody else. Share the message with them, because the more people that know about our sale, they don't have to be quilters. They just have to want to have a quilt and give some money to a good cause. And so all of these quilts are going to be sold. We're starting to get them online. You cannot add them to your cart. You cannot buy them until July 1st. Literally, I'll tell you what time that's going to go live, and that is when that will happen. It'll probably be like, I'm going to say noon on that day, just so that I have ability to make sure that I'm here to help people as people want the quilts. So unfortunately, we're coming back around to our first year of ALS. And I say unfortunately because it is a horrible disease if you're not familiar with it. And there's a lot of research being done, and there are definitely things that are getting patients to, I'll say, survive longer and those kinds of things. We chose ALS the first year because Jerry Splitgerber, who has worked here in the past and is a friend of ours, her husband had died of ALS, and we felt it was appropriate to do that. This year, we're also donating 100% of the proceeds to ALS because my cousin Ann, her husband was diagnosed 6 months ago. And as you can tell, it's going to be an emotional one. And when anyone has a difficult thing in their life like this, I think every one of us would do anything that we could to help them or to change the outcome, whether it's cancer, a car crash, any of those things. So I feel it's the least I can do is to try to figure out how I could help, if not Jim directly, those in the future who will suffer from ALS. And so all the money that we raise will go to ALS, the Iowa chapter. I'm working with them, and you'll see interviews with them as well. But I think it's going to be an awesome summer for helping other people. And that is always ultimately my goal. So again, if you want to start to see what is going on, you can go to henandchicksstudio.com/ALS, and you will see a little bit more about ALS, a little bit more about Dr. Jim McMillan, and you'll start to see the link to the quilts. Again, the quilts will not be for sale until July 1st, and we will sell them through July 31st or until they're all gone. I'd love that. So the girls, my daughters, their job is to get them measured, priced, and up on the website so that you guys can start viewing them and start making your wish list or telling your friends where to be watching for. So in the next couple of weeks, you're going to be seeing us talk a lot about the sale that's coming up. And then again, it'll start July 1st. So we certainly hope that you'll be able to help us out again, whether that is actually purchasing a quilt or being able to tell somebody else about the sale that might appreciate the quilt and what we're doing. So, okay, on that note, I am going to wrap it up today, and I am going to tell you, find a little time for yourself this summer. Grab a 3-yard bundle, grab a 3-yard book, take a little time every day to be creative, because it will fill your heart and it will fill your soul with so much happiness and joy. So until the next time we see you, be creative.